Rapid test. Oh, the rapid, just like the RTCP.
No.
Denied.
Welcome, and first of all, congratulations on Kirisu completing 10 years. Oh my God, just 5 years more than my chronological age. It's amazing how you accepted all of us and trained us at such younger, tender, young ages.
Tender young ages. We're going into the category of grooming.
Yeah, well, at least some parts of our body are 5 years, 10 years, at least some of us, most of the queens, I'm all natural, you know it.
Yes, all of our bodies.
I was born in 2006, as you know, and I'm a Gen Z.
Gen Z, not a millennial anymore, my darling.
Anymore.
That was us.
Mother K, Mother Kitty, Keshav, Mr. Suri, and Boss Lady, Boss Man, so many names you have. But I have to tell you that you have been a formidable force for the community, with the community, and by the community for all these years that you've really revolutionized, not just, all this fun and games is one thing, but I don't think you realize how many lives you've changed. Yeah, but thank you. I just want to just say that, Kitty Sue, for me, the first time you put me in drag, you are the one. I remember you telling me, and telling you, I don't have a wig for my first performance. And then you were like, but you have to do something because there's Violet Chachki, and I died. Then I was like, oh my God, 2 days before the show, she's telling me there's Violet Chachki. And that time there was this other boy working at Kitty Sue Shrey, and he's telling me, yeah, and he was telling me, Mr. Suri would like to speak with you. And I was scared. I was like, who's this Mr. Suri? And the way they made you look like you're, Madam X herself.
He was really good at that. I remember Shrey, he was really lovely.
Scaring the fuck out of all the queens. And yes. And I said, okay, I'd love to, because I would also like to thank them for this opportunity. And he said, and then he called me, and then I spoke with you, and I said, but Keshav, I don't do drag as such. I've just done drag for a couple of, shows and stuff. And he said, no, nothing doing. I saw one video of you with Ishan Sethi sent me and stuff. You have to do drag. And then I was like, oh, fuck, now, what do I even say to somebody like Mr. Suri, For me, I said, okay, chalo karte hain. I went and picked up a shake and go wig for 150 rupees. And I came and I borrowed heels, I borrowed makeup, and, some ratchet jewelry I wore. But even when you saw me with that busted face, it looked like I was using sand from Juhu Beach for my contour. And you still just gave me a big hug and said that you look gorgeous. And I knew I looked like shit.
No, shut up.
No, don't lie.
Stunning. What rubbish. We have very different memories, clearly, or like different perspectives of that situation, because I remember this overconfident, fantastic person who had goods to back up everything that they were saying, and not only came in and was ready to perform for Violet Chachki, but at the end of it directed the whole show. You've forgotten that bit.
She's a directoress.
She's like, okay, we'll do this one in the opening, this one in this thing. Maya, you will do that. Asha, you will do the comedy. And by the end of it, it was you directing the show. And I was just like, yeah, okay, sure. It's a show. And the boys in heels. And Tanya, the girl who was dancing, and Kapil. And so basically by the end of it, you took charge and looked stunning whilst taking charge. I don't remember the shake and go away.
But I must tell you that the glow up the next time I performed with Violet, all thanks to you, by the way, because you then you kind of
2 years later.
So 3 years later, and I remember that she came, and then my glow up was she couldn't recognize me, and she was like, "Are you? Oh my God, we've performed together, like we've performed here, right?" And she was like, I said, yeah. And she's like, you look completely different and you look so gorgeous. And I said, thanks. It's just, years of practice.
Thanks. You should have been like, yeah, because mommy bought me wigs and a costume. Which I listen, I gotta give that to her. When she came the first time, she told me, and then had separate conversations with all of you as well. But she told me that one is, giving gigs and a performance space for queer artists and for drag to flourish. But the other is also going a step forward and, helping them arrange wigs, helping them arrange costumes. And that's when I was like, okay, I'll, buy you wigs and or get costumes. And then you had that fabulous costume designer who also designed for the other queens when we did those
Yes.
various tours, and at the wedding also.
Yes.
And then continued. So that, yeah, I think that was,
I think we just basically what we had was we had the talent. We didn't have a perspective of how to kind of present in drag. And we had our ideas of drag because we've seen these queens on television, for example, but we haven't been on stage with them. And then when we see the difference, we're like, okay, we have to really work so much harder because we don't have references here. For the generations to come, we are probably the references.
yeah.
So if we are not going to
be honest, you are the reference right now in India as the drag queen to follow, see, and that has sort of segued into all the mainstream. I know you hate the word mainstream, as do I, but you've spoken to it in, look at the competitions that you do. You sing in Hindi, in Marathi, in Konkani, in
Konkani.
whatever it's called. And then, but that's it. And you've segued so into all of that: movies, films, stage shows, reality TV competitions like Big Boss in India, and being the first openly queer, gender fluid artist to be on a very mainstream, TV show. I think you are the sort of the epitome right now. So when they will write, drag history in India, they will be you definitely at the top.
But also the thing is that I always make it a point in all my interviews and even in conversations when people ask me, even if there is no camera involved, when they ask me, how did your journey start? And I only attribute it, even till today, my mother, I've worked with some of the best production houses, the best channels, as you mentioned, but one person, and my mother says that there's one person that I can attribute you finding your own true self, and that is Keshav. But I have to tell you,
see her and the warmth that she's always given me. It's really,
I think our mothers have, like our mothers have just allowed us to blossom and flourish. And I think that that's something that you have taken from your mom. I have seen her. What a woman, what a lady, what a human. And I think that is something you've imbibed and sort of just distributed to us as your children.
You're going to make me cry, but I remember there was this one time, I don't know what, it was an event or was it at the wedding, and you were like, everyone was going to sleep at 5 or 6 in the morning, and she was there at the setting up for the evening or for the night, doing the pillows, fluffing the pillows, and you were just like sending me messages saying, this is just, just at another level. And yes, that's her. And I'd seen the same with your mom, who's there for every show of yours, be it anywhere, and will be there with you at the beginning of the show and stay till the end. Sometimes you tell her, please, mama, leave now. But but you know what, we're lucky. We're really lucky.
We are.
I don't think that a lot of people have that in any sort of, privilege or not privilege or levels of society, or you want to call it. Not everybody has that. You've been with.
No, and I think that you have understood that aspect of not being, one of the lucky ones to have parents to love you unconditionally. And I think that when I speak of Kitty Sue, I don't speak of it as a club. I speak of it as a family and a unit that celebrates these relationships that they probably don't have time or they don't have the good fortune to celebrate in their own homes. And I think that Kitty Sue has become an emotion. It's become an emotional state. It's an aura. It's a feeling. It's not a nightclub. And I think so many kids, so many kids have just come to your door and you've just taken them in with no judgment at the door. Regardless, they have been heterosexual, they've been male, female, transgender, black, white, pink, everything. And I know how much you have helped people get over their issues, whether it is family related, money related, job related, emotional stress, personal, interpersonal relationships, alcohol abuse. I have seen you become you've probably internalized all their problems, and it takes a superhuman to do that. And Mr. Suri, I would like to take this opportunity and tell you that, you might be Mr. Suri and Kitty and all of this, but to me, you will always be mother. Always.
Always and forever.
And forever and after also.
I, want to say this to you, that what you've just said, of course, has touched me in various parts of my being. But I now know that my job is done, at least when with the idea of why I came up with Kitty Sue. So I always thought of it, and it's funny how at the time of inception, I never thought of Kitty Sue as just a physical space, because you're right. My pet name is Kitty, and my cousin Aditya is the one who kept that pet name, and he's not with me anymore. But I will always remember, he has influenced every bit of my life. So what I've done for you is what he did for me, and I now maybe didn't appreciate him enough when he was alive, and you do that when people go. But now I cannot think of not having him as a part of any conversation I do about Kitty Sue. And so when I thought of the physical space, because when you give it your name, it's like, tomorrow if Rani gives her name onto something, be it a brand or even, a club or a house, that you will do everything to protect it. And it also cannot be just limited to that particular space, and it has to become an ideology, or it has to become something that sinks inside you and leaves you with a sensation. And now I'm not talking about hot pee, because then that's an STD. So not that kind of sensation, but
I was a bit worried.
That go check out. But no, left you with some sort of feeling that, okay, I've just been to this place, and I think this place is something that I've never felt before, and I will come back because I'll get addicted to it. And I wanted it to live beyond the physical. We all know physicality. We all grow old. We all, wither away. But our souls live on, right? Our ideals and ideology live on. And that's what I wanted for Kitty Sue. And because it was my name, because it was a way for me to come out with my own gender identity and gender expression, being up until then a very open gay man, but always had this sense of wanting to do drag, wanting to play with gender and gender roles. And here, thanks to my mother, was given a space and a complete free hand to create this character of Kitty Sue, which was me only, basically.
Yeah.
And
it was you.
It's
Definitely.
And I sat with Aditya and we wrote her life, and then we killed her also. She dies in the end. But then what happens is that so I'm her follower, supposedly, and I write in the story also that I'm the follower of Kitty Sue, and I've done this place as a shrine to her, so in her remembrance. So I already created this character who's already dead, right, and already is going to live on in this sphere, in this metaphysical, people's brains kind of thing, virtual reality, before virtual reality was a thing, because you're talking about 2010, and 2011 was when we opened. It was also at the time between the 2009 and the 2013 judgment. We didn't really need openly queer spaces because we all thought that we've got our queer freedom and now we're going to move towards marriage equality and other kind of rights. But then, of course, the 2013 judgment came, and then I was like, okay, from where it used to be the queerest straight club. So it was the queerest straight club was the idea, was almost our tagline.
Yeah.
You know how
I love it.
Disney
Queerest straight club.
yeah, or the gay straight club, because that's easier to say. Queerest straight club is a tongue twister. Look, I can't even go with it. And you know how the happiest place on earth is Disneyland, right? So this is the gayest place in India was Kirisu.
The haven, the Gaven.
I mean, think about it. You had Amanda Lepore quotes on the wall. You had a dressing room, which was a bar that had, toilets attached to a champagne bar. You had the list. You had
a boudoir. You had
a boudoir. Yeah.
I mean,
and so, and then at that time we weren't doing like sort of openly queer nights, but of course that completely changed in 2013. December 2013 was the judgment when they reversed 377. So then 2014 onwards, we then went whole hog. And of course, then came the Pure Love, first the See You Next Thursdays, then the Pure Love nights, then, Violet Chachki, we had DJ Critter before that, then the birth of all these fabulous queer artists, and then the trans queens, and the birth of Pure Love campaign that led to the DNI activities at the Lalit. And then it became how DNI has to be a part of the DNA. And all of that was thanks to Kirisu. So what you've exactly said is that Kirisu, whilst maybe we're in the pandemic and the physical aspect of Kirisu is not there, but she has touched all of us now in the most appropriate way, touched us appropriately, that we're still talking about her. and I look like a crazy person talking about my own self in third person.
But my thing is that also, if you've noticed, we are of course talking from a perspective of queer people, but also 90% of the staff, right? Let's say in the beginning was not queer.
Yes.
And they were still sensitized in a way where they had to be. Even if they had a particular mindset, first of all, you wouldn't have hired them if they were homophobic or queerphobic. But even though some of them were getting stuck at points and places, I know for a fact that even when I used to, they would not say, and this is the beauty of Hindi as a language, right? It's by default very non-binary.
Yes.
So they would not say Mr. Sushant or Miss Sushant. They would say Sushant Ji.
Yes.
They would not say Mr. Divgikar. They would always say Sushant Ji. And for me, I then reciprocated that, like Shukla Ji and Vivek Ji and, Singhal, Vipin Ji. And all of this, like, of course, Shibu Ji, I don't say, because Shibu is like more of a friend, like a peer, like a brother.
Exactly.
Even in cities where, from Mumbai and Delhi, we think that, Chandigarh is like this and that, and it won't be. Kolkata is not like this. But I want to go ahead and say that this revolution was not just confined to Mumbai and Delhi. It went to far and wide across the country. And I used to get messages from kids in Cherrapunji and Raipur and like Chhattisgarh and Jharkhand, Ranchi, UP, and all of them, because they didn't have, and they were like, "Aap kabhi Kitisu ko leke yahan par aaoge?" And because the thing is that hum nahi aa sakte aapke paas, but aap aaiye hamare.
I remember you telling me this also, and really, I think that's what has, I think personally is what our win is. That we really reached all of these places. And you're absolutely right about the team. The team saw so much. And there was Prabkaran as well, who is to run Kirisu, also, who was Shrey's boss. And all of them, knew exactly what the ethos of Kirisu. In fact, it was Prabkaran who came up with the no going back to 377 campaign. And that later, which was in 2014, that later turned into the various other, and also, helped it was my team that sort of made me realize that I need to file that petition.
Yes.
And again, I wouldn't have done that if Kitty Sue wasn't there. I'll
Yeah.
be honest with you, and the team of Kitty Sue wasn't there, and the team of Lalit wasn't there, and I didn't feel like they were backing me up. But one thing that they did, and early on, and this is around the time when we got Violet, was that we made everyone take an equality pledge, and anybody who's in the system or hired new, they all signed this equality pledge, which was in various regional languages that talk very clearly about not discriminating based on sexual orientation. And then we spelled out sexual orientation. Everywhere else, it is about caste, creed, religion.
Yeah.
Here we talked about sexual orientation and highlighted that. And I think that's what made even if 90% of my team is straight, and even now, a lot of them are heteronormative, and of course, all of them are proud freaks and proud queer, but they're strong allies because of the equality pledge that they've taken. So.
Yeah, and I remember that, you then also introduced and you made me use my psychology degree and then said that, हाँ बस अभी बहुत ठुमके लगा लिए तुमने, बहुत कपड़े उतार लिए, अब बहुत गाना गा लिया, लैला में लैला करती रहती है ये, और अब तुम जाके ट्रेनिंग करो. So I remember I went with Richa and, and I went to the Mumbai team, the Delhi team, and I think, was it Kolkata?
I think you did Calcutta also, you did Bangalore also, wherever you travel to.
Yeah. And I think that
made you, work.
Made me do
Let's
a
just
lot
put it
of
that
things.
way. I made you work wherever you went.
You made me. Yeah. अभी रानी आई है तो इसको काम कराओ. दिन में क्या कर रही है? सो रही है, बेचारी सो रही है, उसका flight है. I remember Shukla ji saying, I think Rani is tired.
It's tired.
And very sweet. उसको जाके उठाओ, she's taking a training session now. And I was like, this mother is quite the mother, yaar. She's like, पहले तो सुबह की flight करा दी. And because I usually, that I take the early morning flight because then I have the whole day. And then, some days you used to be cool. Some days you used to just be like, wake up and go and train them. What are you doing? Go in drag and train them. I said, I can't do drag in the afternoon because they'll get scared. First of all, my face when I wake up is drag enough. It's Dragovine. Dragovine. तुम्हें बहुत शौक था drag.
You did in both. You did in drag. You did out of drag, and it was so important for my team to see because that's how we then together. So already when you started with us, we were slightly sensitized when the Violet Chachki thing happened. But I think we made it, that we are doing these nights. I wouldn't have rested if I would have just been like, okay, no, they're just performers. No, if you're going to be a part of my family, just like how I'm a part of yours, then my team is my family. All the 2,000 people that are working for me are my family. So if you're educating me, then you got to educate them, and vice versa. You may get from them. You may learn from them too.
Oh my God, you won't believe it, Mom. This I probably haven't told you as yet. I had told Vipin ji when he was manager of the hotel in Mumbai. I told him, and he was really, taken aback, and but pleasantly taken aback. I was doing a session and I was asking them, what do you understand by LGBTQIA+? And there were people from every department. So there was security, there was F&B, there was, management, there was finance, there was Kitty Sue, there was KSF, everybody was there, okay? And they had like 5 representatives from each department and their heads. So you won't believe it. There was this security Didi who stands outside, okay, to frisk and to check bags outside of the bag. She was raising her hand for everything. She knew all the answers. And I said, how do you know this? She's like, nahi, jab aap pehli baar aap aaye the na yahan par, to hame bataya gaya tha ki hum apna research kare taki aapko bura na lage agar hum kuch bolenge to. And she, in Hindi and Marathi, she spoke. And she spoke so beautifully and so articulately. She articulated it so wonderfully, and it just touched my heart because she's just sitting there and saying that it doesn't matter if I can't speak in English or if I'm standing outside, but everybody who I'm going to welcome into this hotel or this club, which is like my family, it's like I'm welcoming you in my house. When she said that, I broke. I was like, that is something that I will take to my grave because it's so important.
That's what me as a person sitting here in front of you and all that you're saying about, what I have done, none of it would have happened if I didn't have this team. And the just like what you said, how I feel is that you're coming to my home, and I'm not going to disrespect you to that you're going to enter my home. I don't want you. You are our guest. You are our god, goddess, non-binary, goddess, trans person. We have to give you that love that we receive. You only give how much you receive, right? And whilst I understand that, hospitality can be very taxing, and working in a nightclub can be very bogging down, because you're meeting so many people and dealing with so many personalities, and not all are kind and not all are going to have a good day. But I think one thing that distinguishes us from maybe others is that it really comes from a place of pure love. Because when they go back to their training room or go back to their team, their cafeteria, they see on the walls, they see the rainbow, they see the trans flag, they see pure love, they see, things that will just touch chords with them. And I think that's what you receive is what you give. And I think that's...
And I think the best part, what you have done is that you actually not just done lip service. Like, even if you were my mom and you were fucking up, I would call you out. Okay. Like, just like you would call me out for my bad wigs and my bad makeup.
Yeah.
And this one song
that I never called you out for that, but sure, whenever you want.
This one song that I kept singing at all my shows because
I called you out
my
for.
signature.
Yes. That I was like, now bus.
I was like, now do you know something? Now do you know something?
I was at every drag show of yours. Can you say that to everybody here, that I was also at every, pretty much at least the first point to be there, that you went to the first time you went to Bangalore, the first time you went to Calcutta, or the first time
Chandigarh, first time London,
I was always there.
And so was Cyril. So were you. And I remember you telling me that no, I have to call Cyril, because if I have to go through 2 hours of performance and people screaming, I want Cyril to do that as well. And I remember the Jaeger bombs
and seeing you on the palki, and seeing you get dropped off from the palki, and seeing the trying to touch your hair, touch you, and touch you also, and all of them going crazy.
Oh my God, that's scary. But and then I love the way you just made an announcement, is that she is the Kohinoor. If you touch the Kohinoor, you will perish, or something like that. You said you can't touch the Kohinoor, only the queen touches the Kohinoor.
But that didn't stop them, let's be honest.
That didn't stop them, yeah. Oh my God, they literally tugged on to that palki, and I fell. And still they were on.
That was Calcutta. And I was, remember, I don't know if you were, maybe you knew you already had such a big following in Calcutta, but I was like, okay, because Bombay, Delhi, yes, you do, because, expected, right? Bangalore also to a certain extent expected, right? But Calcutta, I was like, okay. And that's when we realized that, okay, that this is a future Kirisu should happen here, or events should happen here, because that night also we realized there was a lot of local talent as well.
Oh my God, yes.
To be honed in Calcutta. And then that trip of yours also made me realize about the regional talents that we have in each of these cities, where Bangalore had its own thing. Chandigarh had such beautiful trans talent that, it wasn't gay men dressed up. They were trans women. And a lot of them didn't want to perform, but just wanted to dress up and come. And that wouldn't, and that happened when we traveled together. And then
it did.
And then those same trips that we do all the training at.
Oh my God, I was like, because when we're performing, it goes into the wee hours of the night and morning, and then I had literally 2 hours to get out of drag, have a bath, have a shower, pack, and therefore I used to come that day in the morning so I could sleep, so that I could make up that sleep. But no, she wanted me to work.
She like the Lady Gaga video, another club, bus, another bus, club.
And namaskar karte hue, usko garland karte hue video le. ये करो.
video. Video. Acha, now training. Now pure love. Then the Elfie.
Room
Then the Elfie
tour.
book.
Don't forget the room tour.
Then the Elfie book. Then the drag queen story hour. Then talking about Elfie. Then talking about the equality pledge. Then
I loved it. And then interviewing the international queens.
and that.
Yeah, I was so I you know what, one show I told you, Mom, but even I'm performing, so I have to get ready. She's like, yeah, you should have known that you're going to interview. I said, but I didn't know. You're telling me now to be ready in 15 minutes in full drag.
Yes.
It's not possible. She's like, no,
Yeah.
I'm sitting with Alaska and
Yes,
she's ready.
it was we were in the suite.
And I'm just like, I've come walking in and I see Alaska and I drop everything. I'm like, but she's ready. And then
Yeah. Okay.
yeah, and then because
I got it.
essentially I think someone else was supposed to do the interview, and then you said that no, let Rani do it, and then let Maya be in there, and let Rani, Maya, me, and Alaska sit together. And I was like, but I need at least an hour to get this sorted.
That was
And
the
then you were
second
like,
time.
no, no,
You
no.
already did that. I made you do it in Bombay first.
Yes.
And then after that was Delhi. Yes. Yeah.
And then, you know, and just going back to this one point where, you know, we were talking about the employees.
Also calling each other out. So you changed that repertoire of song, thank God, after I told you that.
Yes. I did.
As I changed many things also with many things that you told me.
Yes. Because, you know, I mean, and honestly, when I am at the club, like, you know, you also, you know, signed me at a very tough time in my life. I must say this, I must share it. I've never shared this with anybody, but I keep sharing so much with you. But this one time that I was going through shit in my life, and you signed me on a retainer, and you said that, okay, now use your directorial prowesses, audition these queens, train them. And I said, oh my God, like, okay, she is making me work for my money and I'm loving it. And then I started doing that. And I realized one thing, Mother, is that one thing is to, okay, train the heterosexuals, but the other is to actually not just do lip service and find queer talent and include them in the process.
Yeah.
And that I haven't seen anyone do. I've been working for 15 years. I haven't seen anyone else do that in my life. The amount of people, and what I liked about you is you said ye back end mein nahi khade rahenge, ye front office pe khade rahenge. They will be at the reception, they will be be taking the bookings, they will show their faces, they will show their transness. And that's something I haven't ever seen. I've only seen that in Kitty Sue at the Lalit.
At the entry, at the bar, at the, you know,
PR and marketing,
handling the marketing, organizing these interviews. Kiara, Mahi, you know, yes, you're right. No point in doing all of this and involving the queer community if you're not going to have them in the forefront and run things. Not just that, we were because of you and all the retainerships that we were doing together and all that, we got drag kings. We got trans sex worker queens, not just the trans queens that are popular or famous or privileged or transition, but you know, who really are actual and still maybe, you know, and we got them on stage and got them to, and then some ended up becoming a part of our family every
roster,
and roster, and till date we are taking care of in some way or the other, and they are taking care of us in some way or the other now because they're in that position too.
So and you'd be happy to know that, you know, the first time we gave Dancing Queens a chance and I invited them to come and perform, and I sent you a video and you were like, yes, please, yes. And you would be very happy to know that Abhina from Dancing Queens is now doing so fantastically well, and she has a house of her own and she's providing for trans children, and Urmi, who has and trans men, trans children, and not just trans men or women, as you said, but non-binary people who identify outside of the binaries. And she's doing such a great job. But, you know, her girl started in a club to perform at a 5-star hotel, live in with luxury. You know, these are things that you might not understand, Mom. But my thing is that when I used to speak to these girls, they used to be like, for the first time,
how many times will I make you cry, my babes? Oh God.
they said that for the first time we sat on a flight and, traveled. And because of that, they got a chance to go to Stockholm Pride and perform with me and Better with the Rainbow Riots. And they said that so many of us it was just a dream that, we could pass a security check and not be judged. At airports, and they said that we're performing and we're representing India. And that revolution started at Kirisu, and I just have to thank you for that, because it's tough for them. We just take for granted the privileges we have so many more often than we should. And I think that when you listen to their stories, it's just heartbreaking. And then them saying that, we've always wanted to be here and we've always wanted to be included. I think it was very beautiful and it was very emotional for me. And I was also, dead to these emotions in a way, because in the industry, we don't have people showing their vulnerabilities and sharing space. And in that one space, you were with somebody like a Violet, but also somebody, from the streets that are trying to make a difference and they don't want to sell themselves. And you gave them that. And I'm so happy that they're today my sisters, and I'm so proud of them.
Wow, Rani, you're going to... Okay, I'm going to take a break. I need a break. God, you really touched me today. Oh my goodness. Oh God, we need to shake this off.
Yeah.
But one thing was that it was so important for me when we started Kirisu, and in that time we would do all these heterosexual gigs and these heteronormative gigs, right? And which I'm not dissing. Don't get me wrong. They brought the club fame and recognition and packed it up. And, we did some really heterosexual gigs like Steve Aoki and, Troy Boy. And they were like, this is hardcore stuff that nobody listening to this will probably even remember or care about. And I remember at that time, these guys used to send riders that, the artist riders, that they need this sweet and that sweet and these many bottles of alcohol and these
it was crazy
champagne and this sort of car, to be
picking them up.
And it's fine. Okay, these are artist riders. I'm sure, it is what it is. But these were very heteronormative people doing very heteronormative things, like throwing cakes and bringing up, catering to that crowd. Of course, doing it in a space where there is a mandal upon the wall and there's my pussy is burning and there are, showers and there are showers. All of that simultaneously is happening, and your makeup is terrible. All of that is happening simultaneously, but they are catering to the heteronormative crowd. And then, when I started with all of you and with the queer crowd, I said, none of you guys, even Violet, nobody had an art tech rider or an artist rider. Nobody said I wanted this sweet or that many bottles of champagne. There was none of that. But I said, no, if I have done it out of whatever contracts for those guys, for the queer artists, Indian or not, they're going to be in the suites. They're going to have their bottles of champagne in their rooms. They're going to have, their own dressing space and their own makeup counters. And so many times when you also would yell at me saying, why are you spoiling everybody? They should have started. They should have started in the toilets. Why are they in a suite, or why are they in their own room? And you've spoiled them.
No, because I went through that, like before Kitty Sue, because I was used to the process that I used to always think that, okay, to get there, I have to earn it.
Yeah.
But you said no.
So for me, but I said no. And I said no. And when you would also say that to me, I was like, no. Because I was like, I did it for these, sure, they were great artists or whatever in their field and they did that. But I this I'm not doing out of force or because there's a contract. This I'm doing because I want to, and I will. And in especially the trans queens, especially the ones who you just spoke about, and also the ones who came to see you in Chandigarh as Rekha on a night of 1,000 Rekhas, the most iconic night of all of Kidisu, I think, is the night of 1,000.
I do believe so.
And that tour is the most iconic. Yes, we keep talking about Violet's tour and we keep talking about Alaska's and all that, but I think it was the night of 1,000 Rekhas for me that really
and I sent you those pictures.
And then you spent the evening with those queens, the trans queens, who also came up to you and turned around and told you that I'm not here to perform. I'm just here because I feel safe to come here. I'm not an artist, so don't try and book me or whatever. I'm not going to be a thing. I'm just here. You had this lookalike contest or whatever, and I'm here to you be as Rekha, and then that's it. And I'll go after this, and I'll come back on another Kidisu night, and I'll dress up, and I'll just feel free. And it was in those particular moments that I said that if I have to really make a difference in even a small percentage people's lives, whatever little bit of privilege that I have, if I get to share that also for just a night or 2 nights or the months or till the time we did these tours, why the fuck not? Right? If I can make them feel special as soon as they come in from the door, if I can get them to have room tours, somebody welcoming them at the lobby, somebody as the general manager also standing there becoming friends with them, and then taking them to the suite, making sure that everybody had a bottle
and their names there, welcoming them, just like you would a star. And you thought that, and then I was like, but don't get me wrong, the boudoirs also were very fancy. I was just, when I used to say is that, why don't you give all the queens one room, including me? Your toilets were not toilets.
Which you helped design, by the way, because I was like, okay, white light, yellow light, orange light, what sort of light?
And sofas, perfumes, everything. It was a state of art toilet, but it was, you can't call it a toilet. It was a boudoir. It had mirrors all over.
Salon, we call it a salon. Yeah.
You could rehearse. You could literally play so there was Marshall and Raytrix in the list, list in Mumbai. I'm talking about Mumbai. And in Delhi, excuse me, but your waiting room and the salon is as good as a club.
Yeah, which is okay. We won't call it toilets. It's the boudoir.
My thing was that a lot of the girls were like, okay, but Rani is getting this suite. And but I said, my thing is that y'all are always welcome to come to my suite. Y'all just didn't ask,
By the way,
and my thing is,
asked. Even you never asked.
I never asked.
Nobody asked.
In fact, the moment you gave me that big suite, I said, listen, I don't need this.
No, you never asked. So let's clarify that for everybody. Nobody ever asked. I just gave.
Yeah.
And
now I have a rapid fire. I hate calling it rapid.
I hate it. Friend, wherever you.
But your responses have to be rapid and they have to be fiery.
Okay, fine. And will I get a hamper after this?
You'll be sponsoring your own hamper.
Or thanks.
You'll be placing champagne in your own room, darling. Okay.
Thanks, really, we knew it was a recession.
But one second, what your gift is, the fact that you know where I'm going, and exactly. Like the fact is that you will be very proud of me. And I know that.
Okay. Yeah, I already am. I don't think I need to tell you that. I'm proud of everything that you've done and do and will do.
Thank you. Okay, can we go to I don't want to cry again. So
okay.
Not anymore, because now the makeup is terrible.
Yeah.
All right. So are we ready for this?
Yes.
And here goes the Kitty Kosu. Oh my God, the Kitty Suko.
Kitty Suko.
The Kitty Suko rapid test. Oh, the rapid, just like the RT-CPR.
Oh, no.
The rapid testing.
Not Miss Rona again, not Miss Rona.
No. But this is another variant.
Not the Delta. Not what is Delta work? Not
This
Delta
is
work.
alpha, baby. This is alpha. Okay, let's go. Describe Kitty Sue in one word.
Divine.
Your favorite Kitty Sue in all the Kitty Sues.
Whoa, that's a tough one. Chandigarh.
Your favorite international drag artist that has performed at Kitty Sue.
Violet Chachki.
Your favorite tagline of Rani that she's used on the stage at Kitty Sue.
There are many, but badi aayi. And badi aayi is something that we've also quoted and put on the walls and on her thing, which we've stolen.
Yeah, you stole from me. You didn't put my name.
From her.
But and also because you robbed one of my taglines, you know I robbed one of yours. Namaskar. Yes. Now I have to be a kitty girl, so I have to. I just look very unsettling when I do
now
that.
You've just made me think of other answers also. I want to add after Violet Chachki, hungry. Is she hungry? And then Alaska. Okay.
And then Alaska. All right. You had to take one name, so this is not allowed.
I don't.
Only Violet.
Violet slash hungry.
The other two, yeah, I know you try to, try and sort of pacify yourself and stuff. Not happening.
Okay, Violet, Violet, fine. Fuck it, Violet,
yeah.
Yes.
What's that one thing you should not say to a drag queen?
Oh, many things. How do you talk? Where do you put that? Considering that drag is for everybody, some people have penises and some don't, but they can still do drag. Is this your real hair? Can I touch your boobs? Are you gay?
Yeah. Okay. And moving forward, your favorite show at Kitty Sue? Your favorite tour or show?
Hands down, A Night of 1,000 Rekhas.
Is
because you and I both know, and of course, as do all the other queens that are friends with me or have known me, know how obsessed I am with Rekha. A. B. We all know, every queer person in this country knows that she was the first drag artist.
My look is
and Rekha G's in the 80s was
Madam
really
X.
Madam X.
Madam X.
I mean, the costumes, the makeup,
the
dialogue, Khoon Bhari Maan, yes, the dialogue. And so, I mean, to pay, and it wasn't like we were making fun of her or we were giving
it was a
tribute, because a lot of times you can say, drag is just fun. It's only meant to be taken as a joke, not meant to be taken seriously, or you can't pay homage to people. It's impersonation, but a caricature of them. This was not. And firstly, we've never done that. We've at Kitty Sue always paid homage, not caricatured women or men or trans people. We've always shown them as they are and their true authentic self, and as the artist wants to show to them as well. And yes, it's a little exaggerated, of course, but we knew that when we were doing the Rekha G tribute, that we were going to exaggerate it slightly, but we were going to give this deity, and for us, she is a deity, that respect. And we had not just drag performers like yourself and Maya, but we also had trans queen Navya also performed.
Yes.
And we did a full eras. And we did eras of Rekha Ji. We didn't only just focus on the 80s.
Yes.
So it was a real tribute. It was a tribute, and how?
It was. What is your favorite? It was supposed to be rapid fire.
I know.
The history of Rekha Ji's life. She's writing an autobiography on Rekha Ji. Bhanu Rekha Ganesan. Say full name.
Full name.
Night of Thousand Bhanu Rekha Ganesan.
Bhanu Rekhas.
Yeah. So now before we go any further, now that you have extended this rapid fire round, let me just say that I don't think we spoke about this, but one of the first clubs to have gender fluid, gender neutral washrooms. So big round of applause to you. Okay, now going to the final question. What is your favorite piece of art? Now I know what you're going to say. At Kitty Sue, inside Kitty Sue, there are a lot. There are a lot of sculptures. I'm just throwing hints. There's a lot of arty crafts and, oh my God, this fancy art.
I worked with this fantastic graphic designer called Just Jot, who lives in Baltimore. And he did the whole shape of Kitty Sue. And it was this giant sort of sculpture that we did for one of the anniversaries. It was the anniversary where we were celebrating, not the Freaks. So the Freaks was the year Violet Chachki came, but I think it was the year either before or after that, where it was just the devil, and we were just basically worshipping all sorts of creatures and occult and everything. Can you imagine?
This was definitely before Violet.
This was before Violet.
Definitely.
Because Violet was the whole I'm a freak campaign, and a proud freak campaign, which we've continued with. But I think, yes, you're right. This was before Violet.
Much.
And they basically, Just Jot did this beautiful art rendering of the Kitty Sue woman. And that art stuck with me. And I think that's pretty much one of my favorite pieces, other than the sculptures.
Well, I mean, that's your, it all, you own everything, so. But one message that you would like to give other, people in the hospitality industry, one message that you would like to give people in general as to how they could be more accommodating and more inclusive.
Just open your hearts, your minds, your souls. I think that now it's time that people did not think that, oh, am I to be inclusive anymore? The time has come that you have to be, and what? Because if you're not, then you're really stuck in another century. And therefore, you go back to that century then, and take your thinking to that century. Because the current generation, the Gen Z generation, they are seeing queer idols, they're seeing queer heroes, they're seeing queer sheroes, they're seeing people of all spectrums of gender and gender identity. When we did it, of course, at Kitty Sue and us, fine, we were doing something new. Now it's not new. Now it is a given. And if your thinking is not going to be that, it's going to be exclusionary, then I personally think go into a time capsule and just go back. But if you want to have the intent, and it all goes back to the intent, because at the same time, I also tell the kids nowadays that meet people halfway. And this is what you've also done. Because yes, we have to understand the older generation also comes from a time where they had lack of education. And maybe now there's too much information. And so for them to balance it out is not there. So the kids also should meet halfway. To the hospitality industry also, I want to say that, our industry is known to touch people's lives because it is all about taking care of the guest and making the guest feel comfortable. So then do the same for your team, do the same for yourselves. If you're not excluding your guests, then you shouldn't do that with the team either. I really think that the hospitality industry can really come together and step up in LGBTQIA plus inclusion, something that I'm really working on. And I think this time of the pandemic has taught us that there are certain amount of marginalized people and sub-communities that do need equal rights, equal attention, equal love. And also not just that I want to do affirmative action, but I want to go beyond that and go and say that are the people that are coming in front of the HR even qualified, meaning that have you gone to where they're coming from and given them that education? And this is where I would say that follow what the Keshav Suri Foundation does, follow what Kitty Su does, follow what the Lalit does. We've come up with scholarships at a very small level, the Aditya Nanda Scholarship, to educate and train LGBTQI plus people, especially from the trans community, to become future chefs and future bakery artists. Another industry that is completely dominated by heterosexual men, and where even women are not in the forefront as much. And I think that that's where the future of really inclusion is now. Now, it's no point in just saying that, oh, we're inclusive. I think now it's gone to how truly inclusive are you? Are you putting your money where your mouth is? That's my message.
And end it with a catchphrase or a tagline. Come on, Mom.
End it with a tagline. Neat, petite, ready to eat. This is Ginger Minges.
Love it. Thank you so much.
Love and fashion, music, champagne. These were all the various taglines of Kitty Su.
So that was an intimate, unabashed, uncensored, and unsettling and unsettling experience of our lives, because queens love suffering. And I just want to say that Mother K, Kitty Su, Mr. Suri, Keshav G, I would just like to tell you that all that you have done for me, for us, for you, and for this movement can never be forgotten. And here's just 10 years of Kitty Su and plenty more. A history has been made because you have been the longest surviving bitch in the industry. And thank you. I would like to take this opportunity to personally thank the team and everybody associated with Kitty Su, with the Lalit Group, with KSF. And each and every one of you are the reason we are. And thank you so much for joining us today.